Hello, everyone. This is Jennifer Sanchez. You are watching the Wise Coffee Chat Show. We are super excited to this morning where we're
Yes.
at. So, for those that are watching, who am I? My name is Jennifer Sanchez. I am the founder of Wise and Wise Alliance Network. We put on networking events, we put together boot camps for entrepreneurs. We also put on masterminds and we have retreats for women. So, we have a whole bunch of stuff that we offer a community, as well as I'm a real estate investor. So if anyone's looking to sell their home, please feel free to reach out to me. I can purchase your property 30 days or less cash. So that is me. And of course, I'm a mom of three beautiful girls, one of which is
Yes.
here, but she's not on camera. But that is who I am. I will pass it over to my co-host to introduce herself.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's Delilah, the owner and founder of the Rock Exchange Resale Boutique on the south side of Chicago. Also, the founder of PG31, a teen mentorship program. And I'm a full time mentor. And at the end of the daughter of God, that's it. Just plain and simple. And we are excited to be where we're at. Let me tell you, we got good coffee in hand,
We sure
right?
do.
The location is phenomenal. We are at Back of the Yards Coffee House, right? Is it a coffee house?
Yes.
Coffee house, because this is like a big house.
Yes.
This is a
That's
little
This,
the
coffee
yeah.
mansion.
this is. Well,
We need to call it a coffee mansion. That's what we
right.
need.
Well, shout out to Mary Yee because you
Yes.
are related to Mary Yee, right? So I love the space. I didn't know
Yes.
that this was your coffee shop. So then when I was like, "Where's the coffee shop?" You were like on 47th Street. I was like, "Oh, that's the
So
coffee
we're looking for
shop."
a little, like, little coffee shop. This is like a coffee mansion. But let's introduce our guests.
Yeah, go for it.
Phenomenal Cafe de Olla. I am a Cafe de Olla junkie.
So yeah,
So
go
this
for it.
is. You want to introduce yourself
Sure.
and tell us about this awesome place and.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My name's Jesús Iniguez, and I'm the founder of Back of the Arts Coffee. We established in 2016,
Wow.
and we just moved into this new location just about a month ago.
It's beautiful in here. When I
Thank
tell
you.
you it's beautiful, y'all need to come today. What time do you guys close?
So we're open from 6 to 6 every day, Monday through
Wow.
Sunday.
Oh, Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great timing and it's chill in here. They have Wi Fi, y'all. They have Wi Fi and awesome pastries as well, but their coffee is phenomenal. So, how did you get into coffee, Jesse? So, let's talk a little bit about your background and how your passion for coffee
Sure.
came about.
Yeah. So my family's always we've always had coffee around the house.
Okay.
But we grew up with the cheap stuff like the Nescafe and
Yeah.
the instant coffee
Mhm.
because we just didn't know
On
any
the go,
better.
right.
Yeah. And the first time I actually walked into a coffee shop was my freshman year of college.
Wow.
And
Oh
so
wow.
my first thought was, why don't we have something like that here?
Yeah.
And that was in 1999. And it wasn't until 2003 when I started working in my first coffee shop.
Oh, wow.
And it was funny because I walked in and I told the owner, like, I want to be your competition.
Oh.
And he said, well, let me show you how.
Oh wow.
And then in 2008, I opened up my first coffee shop. It was a massive failure, but I learned from that experience. You know, it was one of those where um, you think if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
But it's not that simple. There's a lot more that goes into any business.
Yeah.
And you need to know your area, you need to know your customer, you need to know your product, and even knowing all that, it still doesn't guarantee success. So we, after that, I didn't want to, I did not want to open up another coffee shop.
You were like, "No, I'm
Was it?
No.
done."
Did you like slip? Sometimes as a business, you could fall into like a depression. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, it
And
was
then, or like, can I go after this again? Or what made you
right.
like pick this up again? And,
I think it was. I started questioning myself, and
okay,
whether or not if I was made out to do something like this.
okay,
But it wasn't until fast forward 2015, where I was unemployed and I was just tired of kind of doing the same thing over and
yeah,
over and thought to myself like, well, if I were to do that again, what would I do different, right?
mm,
And so now I've had a
That's
few
good.
years of experience. I had worked in marketing and community relations,
wow,
and so I integrated into my business plan. Did some more research and got the support of the community. We raised money online through Indiegogo,
oh,
Oh
and
wow.
we had
nice,
and so we opened up the first shop in 2017, and to a massive success.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years from
Yeah.
when you closed your first one. And to pick this back up and say, no, there's hope in this
Exactly.
industry. Because there's a
Wow.
lot of money to be made in coffee.
For sure.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
coffee is
For
one
sure.
of those
Yeah.
things. Like it's a big cultural thing. We were
Right.
talking offline. We have Marelda, our other guest here, right?
Yes, we can't wait.
We can't wait to bring her on online. But like,
Yes.
coffee is what connects a lot of cultures
That's right.
together. And then you even said it was in your home.
That's
I mean,
right.
it connects on so many levels. Love, people meet at the coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
It connects families.
Yes.
Let's talk over coffee. It
Yes.
Exactly.
connects, anything. If you think of friendships, hey,
Friend-
you want to meet at the local coffee shop down the street, the back of the
Business.
yard, right on the corner,
That's right.
right?
Yes, business. So
And
so coffee is like an international, right?
Language.
Communication,
Yeah.
right? Right?
Well, and that was part of the reason why. So the idea came. So when I walked into the coffee shop, what I saw was people making connections.
Oh wow.
Right. I saw like like you said,
Mhm.
lovers or interests.
Yeah.
People interested in each other. Having those conversations and meeting at the coffee shop. You had business meetings at the coffee
Yes,
shop.
that's right.
You had clients.
Yeah.
And even just like friends getting together. And one of the things that we lacked in back of the yards growing up was safe spaces for young people to gather.
Wow.
And so for me, that's why I said, why don't we have something like this in the
Yeah.
neighborhood, right? And so I always wanted to bring that into the area, but you needed to make sure that it was something that was going to be profitable, that was going to,
Of course.
because if it could be a great business, but if it doesn't make profit, you're
Yes.
going to shut down within a year or two, and
That's true. That's
and what's
true.
it good for if it's not going to be open?
Sure.
Yeah.
So tell us about what makes your coffee shop. Because see, me and all of us are probably like real coffee lovers, right? We go to
Yeah.
coffee shops all the time, and there's always something that makes you stand out from all the. What do you think is your like? This is what makes me special.
Well, aesthetically it looks good, but
Aesthetically
it looks
amazing.
amazing, and the coffee
I
is good.
love
But
it.
but go
Yeah.
ahead, Jesse. What do you
Yeah,
think?
well, I mean, a couple of things. One is we want to bring something nice to the community, just
Yes.
because we're in an area that it may not necessarily be used to having nice
Yeah.
things. Doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve nice things, right?
Yeah.
So to
Oh,
your
I
point
love
on the
that.
aesthetics is we wanted to put something here that people may say, oh, this, I imagine this in the north side, but,
yeah,
but no, it belongs
here and here,
Yeah.
South Side.
But I think what makes it unique, though, to your point, is we're very much mission driven. We're a mission based company. We're not just coffee shop.
Yeah.
We offer we sell wholesale to other coffee shops and restaurants. We roast. We work with the farmers. But
Wow.
our mission is that we refer to as SEED, which is an acronym. And why we named it SEED is because many people call.
Did you say
coffee-
seed?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
SEED.
Yes.
Many people think coffees are beans, but they're really not beans. They're a seed that's in a coffee cherry, and so our acronym stands for social impact, economic development, environmental responsibility, and direct relation.
Oh, I
direct relationship.
love that.
So is
Oh
that
my
what
goodness.
the 40 that is that what the 47th and what is it called, the coffee I ordered?
47th Street Blend.
So 47th Street blend is your your
And they're
own
made in
house
small.
blend.
They're made in small batches. I
Yep,
read.
yep.
So it's from farm to table. Like usually
much, yeah.
you think
From
about that
farm to
from farm to table because usually you think about that in a restaurant setting.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you work with the farmers.
Yeah, that.
So that's like literally from farm to table, into cup, farm to cup.
Yeah.
But and not only that, you provide you
Got a
help
new
the
slogan
economy,
going.
you provide job opportunities,
Yes.
right? I mean, even you just saying like this whole you rent out this entire space,
Yep.
right? So like you're bringing opportunities to the
People who may
community,
not.
and
Right.
I mean, this community in the '90s was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, still a
Yeah.
little rough. You know what I'm saying?
But the
I
beauty,
survived the 90s. So
You
Right.
survived the '90s, so you're good.
yeah, but you know what's so beautiful about that is that you're from the community.
Right.
And you do great things for people in the community, and you're giving people opportunities and the know-how who may not essentially have that background,
Exactly.
right? You went
Yeah.
to school, you
Yep.
mentioned, right? So let's say you have somebody who comes in and says, hey, you know what, I need a job, or I would like to rent this space, but I don't have the know-hows.
Right.
You're giving those people opportunity that may not necessarily have that opportunity, right?
Exactly. And going back to the seed mission, so everything that we do involves one or all four of those pillars.
Yes.
And to your point on the farming, like the direct relationships is key, because by having those relationships with the farmers, we're able to do two things. One is we eliminate unnecessary middlemen,
Yes.
and resulting in savings for us, but also we're able to pay better rates for their coffee.
Oh
Right.
wow.
And then on top of that, it allows us to, maintain quality control. So we work with the exporters in those countries to help them kind of see how they can improve their conditions of their farming. What are
Also,
some
the
of the little
employees
things?
as well.
Yeah, and what are some of the little
Wow.
things that they can do to really elevate the coffee and
Hmm.
get even better prices?
Nice.
And here, part of the regulations is we're able to work with the community, hire local, pay fair wages, living wages, and we're able to do that in a way that you know customers come in here and they recognize their neighbors who are working here.
That's pretty
Yeah,
That's
cool. I like
beautiful.
that.
And you're giving back to the same community that you were raised in.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so it's beautiful to see that cycle of life. And even, I can imagine you feel proud of this. At one time when you were like, man, I had an epic fail, but that epic
right.
fail turned into, you revived the dream,
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
you
not a
know?
loss, it's a lesson,
Right.
Yes.
Right.
right?
That's
And I
so
think
good.
we have to go through failures
Mhm.
and to shape us
That's
because
right.
you even said now I heard you say I need to make sure it's profitable.
Right.
I need to
Right.
make sure my numbers and my product make sense,
Right.
right? So sometimes there's entrepreneurs that are like I just want to start a business and open it up and
Yeah.
you think of
You
location.
just jump on the
You
deep
just
end.
yeah, you just jump in the deep end, and I mean, and I am kind of like that. I'm the person that
I
just
am
throws
that too. I
myself
am
right
too.
into,
That's
Yeah.
why I think
you
we get
know,
along now.
that's how we get along. But it's right because like you even got to think about what's the foot traffic on the
Right.
street, right? Like what are the people from this community they want? I see you have puerquitos, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, and you stay true to the culture.
Yeah,
You stay true to the culture. They have the pan dulce, and then you have these awesome empanadas we heard about. I gotta eat that after.
yeah,
Placing
empanadas,
our order after.
café
Sure.
de olla,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that's what
the
all the
cafe de hoy is awesome.
Latinos love, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's
Staying
part
true
of
to
it is
culture.
yeah.
Now, are the beans like from Mexico or
So some are from we do get some from Mexico. We get them, but we buy them from all over the coffee belt. So
okay?
15 degrees north and south of the equator.
I
And
didn't even know there was a coffee belt.
yeah, yeah,
Look, I
yeah.
just learned
There's a
something new right
coffee
now.
belt. Wait, no. Yeah, educate me. What is this?
Wow.
Yes.
Coffee only grows in these regions. So like
Colombia, right?
yep, southern part of Mexico all the way down to Brazil on this side of the hemisphere. Asia and Africa on the other side of the hemisphere. But
Wow.
there's certain elements that have to be involved, like just between 15 degrees north and south of the equator, a certain altitude, certain
Wow.
conditions. It needs sun, it needs shade. Coffee is very
I wonder if it's like
unique.
cigar leaves.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Same. I mean, cigar leaves only grow in certain
Yes.
areas. Same with
Wow.
coffee. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Wait,
interesting.
what? See, I just learned something new now. Like
I didn't even know there was a coffee
Yeah.
belt. That's so you had to do all your education on this, I imagine.
Yeah, and that was part of it. So the first time I went into it, I'm like, oh, I like coffee, so
Let's make
I'm gonna
let's
some.
make
do
coffee.
it.
And,
Yeah.
the second time around, I had a little bit more training. I went, did some more trips and to region. I actually got to pick coffee. And
Wow.
understood how difficult it is to harvest.
Okay.
All this whole process, and that's part of what we try to do. We want people who are drinking the coffee to really appreciate, where the coffee's coming from, the hands that,
Mm,
that cultivate it.
yeah.
All these things that go into making good coffee. Yeah.
You know what? I think what's so beautiful about that, Jesse, is that you weren't just handed, from what I hear, I
Right.
could be wrong. You weren't just handed something. You really had to do your research. When
Oh
you
yeah,
build something from the ground up, you have a different appreciation for what you're selling,
that's right.
right? And versus something just handed to you, like, if it don't work out, don't work out.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
I
have a
mean,
different, when you build it from the ground up.
I wish I would have had
You and me both.
small loan of $1 million, right?
A nice
But
little start.
but part of being an entrepreneur is like you said, is sometimes you just gotta dive deep. But I always say dive deep with a little bit of research, right? And
Yeah.
you still have to do the dive deep because sometimes it not if it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Everyone
Yeah.
would be doing it.
But always look at what other people have done
Yeah.
and learn from their successes, but also learn from their mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. I made plenty of them, but you learn from those, right?
Yeah.
And but other people's mistakes are less expensive than your mistakes.
Okay.
You know,
That's so true. That's a great point.
Well, yeah, you
That's a
want to
great
learn from
point.
other people's mistakes
Yeah.
because they actually paid the price,
Yeah.
right? And like listen to the advice.
Right,
Like when
right.
someone tells you something, it's because they know.
Like, you know,
Right.
when mommy and papi told you something, like, you're like, don't do that because you're going to get burned. And then you're like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of one of those things, like, learn from other people's mistakes.
That's right.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I love this, and I love the fact that you truly like. Here's the funny thing. I interview a lot of coffee shop owners. I've talked to a lot of coffee shop people, like or coffee lovers. Like you could tell you love coffee,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially like
Get every day.
Literally.
Not
This
only
coffee
that,
is really good, y'all.
like when you meet someone like a person that loves beer, that really is like a beer
Connoisseur.
yeah, kind of like they know all about the beer and the types
Right.
of beers and the
The
crest
dark,
and
the
head
different
and-
crafts
yeah,
and things like
type,
that.
right? And then you talk to like a wine person, they know about all the wines. And now you talk to a coffee man, it's like, yeah, it has to be
There's
this
a coffee
altitude,
equator.
this magnitude, the equator, and then the bean, and you're like, he really loves coffee.
And then to see the farmers who actually pull the beans, right? Now, is it from a bean? Is it the coffee bean from a plant or is it a
So-
tree? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't know
coffee-
either.
It's a coffee tree, and
Okay.
it's actually a seed because it grows in a cherry. So this, if you look at my tattoos
Oh,
here, these are the
nice.
coffee cherries.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. He's
Yeah.
definitely
He got the
Wait,
tattoo, the
that- he
artwork
has
to
a
show it.
tattoo of the coffee bean on his arm. He is
Wow.
legit.
And this is from where you're from, I imagine.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
bull.
so the bull is actually from it's an homage to Back of the Yards. 'Cause
Oh,
this area used to be
wow.
stockyards. So they
Okay.
kept bulls running around and cows running around. This is where the butcher
Wow.
house for the world.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, but this, so there's two seeds that are in each cherry, and then these cherries are chucked, and then they're fermented, they're dried, and then once they're dried to a certain temperature, they pass through another mill, and once it's passed through that mill, it's shipped to us,
Wow.
and then we roast them
and grind them and the
yeah.
whole and break. I don't know too much, but that's all I
yeah.
got.
No, you got
That's
it.
interesting. Now we know 2 coffee seeds
Yeah.
in one cherry,
That's
in a
right.
coffee cherry.
Yep.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
So for those, just before we wrap up, right? And thank you so much for
Yeah,
even just
it's
allowing us to use the
impromptu,
space
yeah.
and you know we've
This
been
is
communicating for
beautiful.
like a year, and he was like, I'm in construction right now, and I was like, I thought about him, I was like, well, I think you got a coffee shop. It should be working now. It should be up and running right now.
Right on time.
Right? And then when you told me, when you sent me the first address, I was like, that's a house,
Yeah.
right? Right? And then you're like, oh no, it's here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is good. You know, with all that being said, what is the stockyards? Because I think I like also that you bring a lot of knowledge. I'm a Chicago girl. She's a
Mhm.
Chicago girl, born
Yes,
and
we
raised in
are.
Chicago, right?
Yes.
I love just the city, and I don't think I would ever leave the city. What's the stockyards for those that don't know?
Yeah, so this area was annexed to the city of Chicago in the late 1800s. So we actually have a map at the barbershop that
Oh,
shows
nice.
prior to this being part of the city of Chicago. And the city used to use it as a dump. All this area was marshland, so it was like a wetland.
Oh wow.
And so they covered it up with trash essentially, and then filled it up with land. And nobody really wanted to use it. And some entrepreneurs were like, well, this would be great for stock, to bring a
Stockyard?
livestock. And
Mm.
and so at the time, there were all the trains basically from all over the country met here in this neighborhood.
Oh wow.
And so they would bring cows and pigs from the southwest that were grazing. They would bring them here to the stockyards, and from the stockyards, then they would ship them out as meat to the rest of the country.
Wow.
And so because of that work was very like hard, laborious, and it was very like yucky
Yeah.
and dangerous. It was immigrant work, right? So
Mhm.
at the time, you would have a lot of like Eastern Europeans,
Mhm.
Irish, Lithuanian, Polish, and they were the ones that kind of worked in the stockyards. I'm not sure if I had to read Upton Sinclair's The Jungle,
Mhm.
and I don't remember if I read it in junior high, but that book is about the neighborhood, and it talked about the conditions.
Wow.
In fact, the USDA was founded because of this.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And even the history, I appreciate history.
I remember that
I appreciate
book,
history.
the jungle, that book.
Yeah.
But I remember being not a good
No,
student
it
and
was-
didn't
yeah.
read it, right? Like I remember, I think I made up something about it.
You just glanced over it
but
and you
now
read the
I-
first
now
and
I
last
wanna-
page.
Now I want to read it, not just
Yeah.
because you're
You probably
bringing
have
it
a
up.
different appreciation for it too. But when you know the history of where you're from,
That's right.
because you're born and raised in this area. Was
That's right.
that correct? And so you're bringing it and giving it back to the community. And just it's beautiful, and you add value to the community when you put
Yes.
something like this in place. It's saying, hey, we can have nice things in our area,
That's
Yes,
right.
yes,
and
yes.
so
And he knows his product.
yes,
He
and,
knows the
to top that
neighborhood.
off, which is awesome.
So I went with an investor out in Milwaukee.
Hmm.
This investor impressed me so much. I mean, talking about
I
this.
remember that when you took
This
that trip.
investor was not just an like he owned all of Milwaukee, and I was like, he was the tour guide, right? But this investor was able to say, look at this. This is owned by this. This is owned by that. This was built
Right.
this time.
Wow.
And I was like baffled, like I am so bad at my investor game. Like I need to know buildings and who owns what and what this means and what, like I need to know my own backyard because
Yeah.
I invest in the city,
Right.
right? So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I need to know the history. Now, like that
Yes.
guy like impressed me. So even you talking about like the history of
It's
this
interesting.
neighborhood, it
It's
shows you
history.
it like you invest in, this is the product you invest
Right.
in,
Yeah.
right?
And it's all connected. Like, cause so for me, when my family, right, because the stockyards closed, because the box trucks, happen, and so you
Yeah.
no longer needed to travel through train, and you had
Yeah.
highways. So when they closed down, they built factories, and that's how we got here.
Yeah.
So to me, that's
The
why the history
history.
is so important, because we're here because of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, thank you so much
So much,
again
Jessie.
for having us here, and then being able to share your passion for coffee.
Yes.
and
And good coffee,
and
y'all.
great
Come.
coffee.
And
look,
this location
and
is
this mug
amazing.
is super cute. Look
Love
at that. It's from Mexico.
it.
It's from Mexico, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's from
I mean-
Guadalajara.
This one I did buy in Guadalajara, but we're actually we're the folks that make the Clase Azul tequila.
Mhm.
We're actually working with them. They're
Oh.
gonna make some custom-made mugs for us. But this,
Look
Now let
at
me tell you. Now,
that.
does it matter? Because now you got my mind like working. Does it matter like the temperature that what it's
Yeah.
made out of to keep the coffee at that certain temperature?
yeah.
I know
so-
that sounds crazy. Like
No, I mean the mug has. I mean it has to be rounded from the inside for latte art. Has to be double walled to maintain the temperature. There's so much that goes into even in the
I'm
mug,
like,
so,
wow.
yeah.
I wouldn't even thought of that. I was
Yeah.
just like, it's pretty.
And it has to be able to easy to hold. You don't
Yeah.
want something that's gonna be like too
Too
heavy.
little or
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so
much,
again.
Jesse. It was nice meeting you,
Appreciate it.
and
Yes.
thank you for good call. I can't wait to try those empanadas.
Yes, yes. And you guys stay put. We are gonna bring our next guest up. So give us
So excited about this
Yes.
one, y'all.
Stay tuned for the next guest.
All right.
I did not know. So we are back, you guys. Super excited. Delilah's over here. She got caught up. No, I'm just like, no, no,
Y'all.
just like we like to eat in front of the camera. Oh, so just definitely want to make sure now that Jesse was great guest.
Yes.
I'm so thankful that he let us even just use the space. We got to do more stuff with this
Yeah,
space for sure, right?
For sure,
For
for
sure.
sure.
So now, of course, we have our next guest.
Yes,
right?
so excited about this one, y'all.
Yes, yes,
Super excited.
super, super. So go ahead. Can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Marelda Rodrigues, and I do know some of you because I've been to some of Jennifer's events before.
Yes, yes.
And I'm meeting Delilah for the
Yes.
first time, which is so exciting. But if you've met me before or you've been in my space, you would know that I'm a massage therapist and a functional medicine health coach. And I was doing grief massage for a long time and teaching
Yes.
about grief wellness for people that were, whether it was bereavement or not bereavement, because loss comes in so many different
Forms,
shades,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Shades of loss. And
Yes.
of late of this year, my health started to take a little bit of a interesting turn. And as I was doing what I always do, which is try to peel back the layers
Right.
and figure out what's going on and why. And I kind of stumbled upon symptoms that were very in alignment with what women experience in menopause.
Wow.
And it wasn't just sort of like one thing, it was like things. And all of a sudden, it was kind of coming into this land of things that were off. So it wasn't one big, oh, I went to the doctor and they gave me this diagnosis. It was just different things. I was losing my energy. Coming down the
Wow.
stairs was kind of shaky, and my hip started to hurt. And then I was like, what is all this? And normally what happens is women start saying, oh, it's my aging process. Oh, I'm getting old. And they kind of sit with that. And of course, if you know me, that's not me. I'm the investigative type. I'm like, where is this? Why is this? What
So
is
you try to
this?
get to the root of the
So
issue.
always.
Okay.
That's really what I do.
Well, let's go back a little bit. Me and Meralda, she came and spoke at one of my retreats in COVID during
Oh
COVID.
wow. Okay.
And I remember that was 2020 or 2021.
I think it's 2021.
2021, and I had a retreat out in, I believe it was like Coloma, Michigan.
Yeah,
Okay.
Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember at that time I wanted to put a retreat together because everyone had lost. Everyone was losing loved ones. At
Yeah,
that
I mean
time.
left and right. It's so unfortunate.
People
yeah.
were just,
Yeah.
it was a very devastating
Yeah.
time, and I remember feeling like my community at that time, because there was a lot more. We would congregate a lot more with the ladies before. Now I do more co-ed stuff, and I just felt like a lot of the ladies needed a release and an outlet. And I don't know exactly where we met. Engaging Speakers, is that where we first
we
met?
met at Engaging Speakers because you came up and you were doing a rehearsal of your messaging.
Oh yeah, that's when that was like
Yeah.
super aggressive up there. Yeah, now I remember. I remember.
Not you, Jennifer. Not you.
Now I remember. And I was I pregnant? You said I was pregnant.
So she wasn't here yet. So
So Gami's in the background joining us today,
yeah,
y'all.
yeah. So I remember.
And-
yeah, now she's 6, so that was 6 years ago,
Yes.
or maybe 7 years ago because I was pregnant. So I remember that time going up there, speaking, did my thing, and then I just remember everyone was kind of like, they weren't expecting that. I don't know what happened there.
And but can we just take it back to this grief massage, right? I've never heard of that until Jennifer mentioned it
Yes.
to me. I've never heard of that concept. So people who aren't aware of what grief massages are, can you explain a little bit about that and how you got involved with going down that avenue?
sure. I think I'll start with where I think when people get a massage, they're just looking for relief.
Yes,
Yes.
Like you have a
right. That's
headache,
true.
You're like, where's the Advil?
Right.
Like they're just like, I'm tired,
Quick.
or I'm stressed out. Where's the massage?
Right.
What a lot of people don't know is massage is actually something that meets your body's needs. So, for example, if
Oh,
you're an
that's so good.
athlete running the marathon,
Oh
we
God.
can create a 1-year program from your training to your recovery
Okay.
after the event.
That
Right,
is
right.
Yeah.
So pregnancy, same thing. from the time you are, whether it's your first day that you found out from the doctor, your
Mhm.
first trimester,
Right.
your right until delivery, your recovery, even if you have
Right.
cesarean, whether it's regular birth, the, the we can meet the body where it's at.
Okay. Okay.
I never in my life realized that I would be the messenger of grief massage. I'm just
Wow.
very passionate about what I do when
Mhm.
it comes to massage. And a
Yeah.
woman showed up in one of my sessions and told me, I said, what kind of massage would you like? Because now I can meet what your body needs. And she said, I don't know. My daughter just passed away.
Wow. Wow.
And in spite of being a seasoned massage therapist, it actually was like a cup of cold water on my face. And I was
Splash,
like,
splash, right.
oh. Um, so I said, okay, you know what? We'll get you on the table. We'll see what we can do.
Right.
And I just, when she was getting on the table and I was outside, I just said, whoever's up there can listen to me and send me the power to do this woman some good. And I just say it's an out of body experience. And then 60 minutes later, she got up and she said, thank you so much. That was great. And I was like, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
but it was, I know you were also a nurse, right?
No, I was not. I had a full corporate life.
You had a full corporate
Wow.
life.
Yes,
And you just
Wow.
jumped into massage therapy?
I did. I had
Okay.
a dual career life for 8 years. I was in human resources.
Wow.
Wow.
That is my degree. In addition to hospitality, so I know a lot about like
The background,
I've
the
been
restaurant
in a lot
and-
of restaurants, food service.
Wow.
In the back, and then I was in HR because I thought I was going to be in the hospitality industry, HR,
Yeah.
Right.
and I fully prepared my thesis and everything
Oh,
for that.
wow.
But real life is different. Real life says, no, here's where you're
Right.
going to go. And I ended up being in HR for IT.
Wow. Okay.
And, um,
What a different avenue.
It's so
well,
different,
Right.
right?
well,
Two
yes and
different
no,
realms,
because
right?
I
Okay.
ended up doing IT installations for hotels.
Wow. Okay.
So-
The hospitality. It brought it
So
brought
it
it
like
around
came-
full circle.
And then, I did a lot of training programs. And then ultimately, with corporate,
Right.
you never know when you're going to be laid off.
That's
so
true.
I
Sure.
have written my own layoff letter because I am HR. So
She
I
was
have-
like, I'm ready.
I was like, dear Marelda, you are not going to be here from so and so date. I mean, I'm serious. I've written
Right.
my own layoff letter. And, I've worked for
Wow.
everything from .coms to Fortune 500s.
Wow.
Wow.
So ultimately, my career, so I was doing really well in the corporate world, but my heart and my soul felt empty.
Okay.
Oh.
Like not fulfilled.
Correct. And my brain was like zhuzhing because it was
Okay.
happy all day.
Aww.
And so I asked my soul, what do you want? And I ended up in the parking lot of a massage school. And I was like, okay, well, here we are. And everybody thought it was like I used to do tap dancing and oil painting. And they thought it
Wow.
was
The
another hobby
creative.
that I found.
You're
Oh,
creative.
just another outlet.
Yeah, they were like, oh, is this something new? And I was like, I don't know.
When you say that, so was it your family who said that, or
No,
who's
all my friends.
all your friends?
All my
Okay.
friends.
They were
They were
like-
like, oh, is it another thing like tap class? And I was like, I don't know.
Well, let me share. I've actually done the grief massage.
Okay.
Right?
Can you share your experience?
I realized because I've always been into massages, right?
Right.
I've always done the Swedish or deep
Yes.
tissue, and especially when you're doing like marathons,
Right.
like I get it. Like, oh, sometimes you need someone to kind of just dig in
Yes.
there, you know.
Or certain pressure points, right?
Yeah,
Depending
yeah.
on.
And it was amazing. But this one in particular, I think it was either right after my divorce. I was just getting separated.
Wow.
Right? I think it was, yeah. And she invited me. She's like, come get a grief massage. And I was like, okay, why not? I've had her speak at my stuff. Let me just try it, right? And I remember one thing that she told me. I don't know if it was you or your student. You might have an emotional experience after this. And I'm a stone cold
She is.
Steve.
She's steel.
I am
She
not
is
an emotional
steel.
person. If you see me cry, then you definitely pissed me off.
Or you know you.
Oh,
Like
they,
like
or
or
you know
you
me.
you you're part of her inner circle.
Yes, you're in my inner circle because I
Right.
don't express myself that much.
And
right?
I'm the opposite, y'all.
Yeah, yeah, right. So when she said that, I was like, I almost thought like that ain't gonna
There's no
happen,
way.
right? That ain't gonna
And
happen.
even more now because you told
yeah,
me.
right. I was like, no, my stubbornness. And then you were doing the massage. No, it was the young lady or the lady that was doing the massage, your student. And I remember she was also like, if there are points that hurt, let us know.
Mhm.
And I just remember under my liver, you went under my rib. She went under my rib, and I felt like a pain pinch. And I was like, oh, what you guys just do? Like in my head, right? And then in my shin as well, I felt pain. So then afterwards, I started evaluating. Well, the liver is where you hold your anger,
Wow.
right? Liver is where you hold anger. So
Wow.
when they touched that, they must have released whatever
Some
I was
anger.
holding. I had some
Okay.
anger. I had some anger issues.
Oh,
you know,
At least you know it.
I know it.
at least she
I've always
knew.
been very transparent. Anger
Yes,
is
she
my
is.
first emotion. It's my go-to emotion.
That's why she
you know,
cuts people off like
Like,
nobody's
chop,
business.
I'm done. But but I remember the next day I started bawling my eyes out. I don't even
Wow.
remember what I was crying about, but all I know is like, darn it, it happened. Like
Like she said.
like she said, the emotional release
Wow.
happened the next day.
So is that normal? So Marelda, is that normal for people to feel a delay after a grief massage? Or
Yes,
or
the short
instant?
answer is yes. So
Okay.
emotions are emotions.
Okay.
They're like little electrical charges in your body.
Okay.
So if you can just imagine, and this is a visual I like to give my clients.
Okay.
In in the cartoons when they show electric going on
A current?
the current is like
Yes.
and it's fiery.
Yes.
Imagine that in your body. When your emotion is suppressed or repressed. Suppressed means you've been taught to do it. Repressed means you learned and you followed through by
Okay.
yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So either way, you're pushing the emotion down.
Okay.
Well, it's like saying, I'm gonna not pee for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Okay, so we
Wow.
are taught because we don't see our emotions, but we can see our. I mean, we're gonna
Yeah.
have a puddle on the floor if you don't
Yes.
go to the bathroom, but because we can't see it, we push it down,
Yeah.
and we do what's called overriding. We override it, right? I'm not gonna feel it. Nope. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
feel it. Nope. Not doing it. You
Yeah,
know.
that's me. That's totally me.
Yeah.
Hold on, while you're talking, I have to comment. Carlos, our Los, he's a good friend of mine and watcher. He said, "Somebody touched Jennifer's liver, please." This guy. Thanks,
Gosh.
thanks, Carlos.
Thanks.
Keep going. Sorry.
Um,
But that's
so-
a great
so,
analogy.
Yeah, it is. And I do tell people you need to, allow your body to do whatever it needs to do. If you're going to sneeze, you got to sneeze. Some people like hold the sneeze back, and that's not a good thing because the force of a sneeze is really big.
That's me.
Someone told me that.
I hold in my sneezes.
Yeah, you have to let it out because it's a force that the
Needs to come
body
out?
is releasing
Wow.
whatever it needs to release.
Okay.
right?
Okay. So,
So
anybody holding
emotional-
their sneezes,
Yeah,
sneezes, let them out.
So you don't want to override anything from the body. Any signal from the body should really not be overridden because the
Mhm.
body is trying to communicate with you, and your mind's like, "Oh no, we don't need to feel it. Nope, got to go do this. Got to
Right.
right."
Wow.
So we create our own illnesses and discomfort. So with emotional releases, what happens is if you do not feel them all the way through, emotions are like charges. So they are like they rise
Okay.
and then they peak and then they come down. And the whole experience actually only takes 90 seconds.
Wow.
But every bit of that 90 seconds feels like 6 hours.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Think
Okay.
about when you're angry, the peak of your anger, that like where you want to punch someone is like at the peak of that 90 seconds, and then you're just like seething. But if you just kind of let it be and breathe through it and learn to release it correctly, just like you would
process
go to
it.
the bathroom,
Right.
You know the process. So when you release it, you don't feel the urge of that chaos around
Right.
that emotion. So an emotional release can happen, first of all, immediately,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of hours later, a couple of days later, a couple of months later,
Ooh.
Wow.
a couple
Okay.
of years later.
I could see that.
Yeah.
There's no, but the important thing is you kind of have to have a process of release, release, release. Because if you've held your emotions your whole life and not felt them, I'm not going to solve the problem
Right.
in one
Day or one session.
One therapy session is not going to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One massage may or not, because emotions are held in your body.
That's good.
So you can therapize your way through, but until you feel. So this is why a lot of somatic wellness now, feeling your way through, is really coming mainstream.
It is. It really is. It
So
really
to
is.
me, I just had a download from the other side. And then I'm a science-based person. So
Okay.
you can't go to a doctor and say, hey, I solved grief problems with a massage, right? So I had to find the science behind why it worked.
So you did all the research when you had this experience with this lady
Yes.
who lost her
Yes.
daughter,
Oh, yes.
and then and now, and from our conversation before we came on camera, you mentioned your target market is women going through midlife.
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about that and how
Oh,
you
yes.
want to serve that community? And before we get there, what are we drinking? We didn't even do our
didn't do
coffee
time.
chat.
I love that.
And then we're going to get
Jennifer's-
into that because we
Jennifer's
want to
liver
touch on that
situation.
topic.
We were talking about liver, my liver and my anger issues.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, let's do coffee time. I mean,
Coffee time.
I mean, I love. I'll go. Well, I'll let Marelda go first, right?
Yeah, Marelda, what are you drinking? What's in
drinking,
your
girlfriend?
cup of coffee and how do you feel about it?
I really like it, but I can't even say the words.
Which
so
one?
you'll have to say it's
The
like,
café de olla?
yes. That
Oh,
one.
the coffee.
Oh.
Let's share some café de olla
Yes.
at back of the
Oh.
Yards mansion house.
This is so
Cheers,
Cheers.
great.
So
Yes,
I
so good,
have
y'all.
the house blend, the 47th and Ashland
Remember,
blend.
she likes her coffee black.
This girl, yes, I like
Is it
black
good?
coffee.
Now,
It's-
is it?
I don't need no sugar. I don't need anything.
Yeah,
It's
got
great.
good
It's
flavors.
great.
It's
Okay.
got great
I love the café de
flavor.
olla.
Yeah, and I didn't want. I felt like, okay, I'm having a puerquito, so I was like, okay, I'm already having something sweet.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure. Why are you laughing?
Because I didn't want to eat on camera. Mine is right here. I'm
No.
over here like mine is.
So you're fine eating on camera, but anyways, so I got the puerquito, which is more sweet because it's actually brown sugar with the
Right.
coffee, so I'm good, But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a good balance.
It's a good balance. So I'm
And
not,
Cami
I'm-
had her chocolate chip
yeah, she got
muffin.
chocolate chip muffin.
She has
over
evidence
there.
on her face.
Yeah, and I'm not a serial killer, y'all. Remember last time you guys were
You said that. I
you
just
were
I was like, I'm just
Jennifer's
drinking
a
my
psycho for having black coffee.
Nah, that's you. I stay away from those topics.
I'm just joking.
I'm
joking.
like,
I'm
she needs a
little
few
bit-
more grief sessions
Maybe
and
I'm-
massage
Maybe
therapy.
I'm a little sociopathic. I'm just kidding.
She's over here yelling on stage. That's how
Yeah.
Marelda.
I wasn't yelling that day, but anyway. So
Okay,
we have
we digress. We digress.
We
But
digress.
going back to, so what are people drinking? What is Carlos drinking?
Well, what are you guys drinking?
What are you
I know
drinking?
Maria Elena just wrote Yum Café de Olla.
This café de olla is
Yeah.
really good.
So if you guys are drinking anything, share with us. But definitely check out Back of the Yards Coffee House on 47th.
You're
and
gonna love it here,
Ashland.
y'all.
Amazing
Love it.
space, and I think I want to do something here. I'm gonna see
Yeah,
if we could.
I
Do
think that'll be
something here. It'll
great, like a
great-
networking
yeah,
event.
Something here. It'll be good
I'm
to
with you
support
on
them.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
So let's go back to Marelda now.
Midlife, women in midlife. You mentioned we were talking off camera, and I wanted to share with our viewers what is your goal and your target market now. It sounds like you're in a new season.
Yes, actually, what happened was it's like saying I got new glasses. I
Okay.
can see clearer.
Okay.
I saw clear with
Okay.
the grief and the whole
Okay,
journey with that.
so you got a new prescription.
Yes, and then all
Okay.
of a sudden, someone said, "Try these glasses on," and I put them on, and I was like, "Oh, women in midlife."
Wow.
And the reason
Okay.
why is because in the last couple of years, my clients coming in for grief massage were women in their 50s.
Wow. Okay.
And then they would come in and then they would fall apart about different things,
Right.
like caregiving of parents, or my kid left
Yes.
for college,
Okay.
or, my job is like passing me up for promotion, or
Okay.
now something's happening in my marriage, like what is wrong with my spouse, or
Right,
like
right.
it was just all over the place.
Okay.
But the common theme was grief around these situations.
Okay.
And it was affecting their health. They were people pleasing like crazy,
Yeah.
and they were serving everybody but themselves.
Okay.
Oh, I love that.
And then they were coming up around perimenopause, menopause,
Oh, wow.
and now you've got a whole hormone storm,
Wow.
and you have a brain that's changing. So you have a neurological transformation as well.
Oh my gosh.
So listen, ladies. So this is great for the viewers who are going through this, and men who are married to women
Oh,
going through this
yes.
process, because sometimes men may not understand what women are going through.
She just said like 5 things that women go through when they're
Yes.
going through menopause.
Right.
Like neurological,
Right.
physical, probably some sort
Yes.
of emotional,
Emotional.
Social,
Social.
health,
social health.
We
And their
start to-
identity.
Yes, identity. And
Right.
so, you're going through all these changes, and all of a sudden you're saying, none of this feels good. And it becomes this, if you can envision, this is what I say to my clients, it's like coming into a cluttered garage. You bought a new Mercedes and you don't know where to put it.
Wow.
I don't like that analogy at all.
I-
But I get it.
You're-
I
but
understand
you're-
it.
but
I
you know what
understand
though?
it.
But
But
the
you're realizing you're the Mercedes.
Wow.
but
And you don't have a place to be.
that's
in
a
this
great
garage.
analogy.
It
That's a
just gave me
great analogy.
anxiety. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like
No,
I just got
that's-
anxiety thinking about it.
So you know what's so great about that is because the reason why I say that, I'm on this like healing journey myself, right? I'm very transparent with this, and on this healing journey I'm learning boundaries, self-worth. I'm learning how to heal properly, seeking that help and being okay with seeking that help.
Oh, yes.
And a part of that journey is going back to the grief. Like I lost my parents 20 plus years ago, but the reason why I say that, my sister came into town. The reason why I understand this analogy, she came into town and I said, "Hey, listen, I need to get rid of stuff." And she's not emotionally attached to my stuff, so it was easy for her to toss things out. Before you know it, we tossed out like 15 garbage bags full of stuff that she wasn't emotionally attached to. But it helped me because what it did for me, it opened my view and it healed that part of me to declutter things that I don't need. And it was hard at first. I'm like, oh, but I need, but then you realize, no, release it. So you can, so your space is clear. So you mentioned the cluttered garage, right? That's the stuff that's going on the inside, right? You're the Mercedes you mentioned. So I'm thinking from what you're sharing is the grief massage, or the way even with who you help your clientele is that person who's not emotionally attached to those things, to help declutter the things that are going on in that
And
person's
also
house.
showing them, you look, I speak a lot about the nervous system.
Okay.
The nervous system has to feel safe.
Okay.
This is grief wellness 101.
Okay, very good. At the bare basics, right?
Yeah, the
Layman
very basics,
terms.
because most people don't do things because the nervous system has been in survival.
Oh
You
God, that's
cannot-
so
you-
true.
You cannot thrive in in a nervous system that is surviving. There
All
are
the
two
time.
There are two different mechanisms,
Yes.
and you have to bridge that journey.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay.
Okay.
So the bridge comes in the form. What I do is I create different bridges for people. So I create tools. Those tools help them feel safe. Even if it's, let's say, a food plan, or if it's a sleeping regimen, I can't just tell you go eat this. Because
Right.
your nervous system's like, no, girl,
I don't
I'm
like
eating this
that.
other stuff.
Right. Lunch meat or something. Right.
But
So-
it's true.
Yeah.
So you have to bridge and educate. But here's where the biggest mistake is.
Okay.
Your brain needs to fill the gap. You can't just throw something new in. You have to take something out. And when you take something out, you have to fill it with an intentional piece.
That's so good.
What most people do is they remove, like, I'm cutting sugar, or I'm cutting this, and I'm cutting
It's a
that.
harsh.
And your
Stop.
brain is like, wait,
Wait,
that's
what's-
unsafe. Like, wait,
What is
no,
this?
No,
It's
we're putting
unknown
the sugar back,
territory.
because you know
Right.
what? That was unsafe.
Okay.
So when you take something out, you have to know what it is you're putting back in, because cutting sugar, a lot of times it's because you're poor sleep.
Mm.
It
Well,
may not have anything to do with what you're eating.
Oh, that's
you
good.
are also a certified sleep coach,
I am, yes,
which I
am.
love that because I could.
What
I'm,
other certifications does this girl have on her belt?
I mean,
I'm
the
over
fact
here
that,
just like, wow.
but I
You're a
mean,
walking dictionary,
that
like
makes no. She's a wealth of
an
knowledge, right?
encyclopedia of
Yeah.
what you. So you make sure that you have all aspects of a woman down pat. From it.
I make sure that my own issues were taken care of.
Okay.
And
Okay.
these were the journeys. I was an insomniac twice, and I brought myself back out of it and then became a sleep coach, because sleep, I
Wow.
used to say, you know what, if you want my attention, give me food.
And sleep.
That no longer works.
Okay.
It does not work.
It still works for me, y'all.
No, it is.
Her porquitos.
If I don't get my sleep, I can't even, forget you. I can't even handle me,
You can't function.
Oh,
right? I can't even
Yeah.
handle from a mood. I'm like crazed about my own crazy.
So a sleeping coach. So do you? So can people contact you
Yeah.
for that? Because I mean that's huge.
it is. It is. I mean, isn't it? I remember I read a study that they studied people in the army. You might know this study, right? And after 3 days of lack of sleep, they actually become neurotic, right?
Well,
Wow.
it is, sleep. You can actually die from no sleep.
Yeah, die from no
You
sleep.
can actually
Yes,
die from
that's
no
something
sleep,
that I heard.
and sleep deprivation. Like when you look at a lot of the professions that are sleep deprived, right? Whether it's the first responders, pilots, doctors, like, there is a brain issue involved, brain health issue involved long term. So it's really important to get your sleep. And so I have lived with body pain my whole life, which when I
Yeah.
found massage, I was like, oh my God, this is like what? This is like the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Right? So everything I have done is because I was there. I felt it in my body. I didn't want it in my body. I
Right.
recovered through this. So now in my menopause world,
Okay.
um,
You're in a new phase in life, and I know
realized-
there's a lot of people who can relate to
Yeah.
that too.
and for me, what happened was I wasn't even tuned into anything until like last year,
Wow.
when I started noticing some changes, right? And I was like, well, this is really weird. What's changed? Like my food hasn't changed, my sleep hasn't changed.
Okay.
Like I'm putting on weight, like I'm just like someone's got an air thing and they're going
Wow.
right, and I started ballooning. And then I started noticing, when I went for a blood test, the kinds of things that were showing up were just not even anywhere close to what I used to get from my, like, I was like,
The numbers were
whose
crazy.
results are these?
Right.
Right. And what I started to notice is these are directly related to menopause. And my mother, unfortunately, she passed away short of her 61st birthday.
Wow.
Very
Yeah.
young,
Very young.
with all these symptoms that I was seeing. And I'm like, wow, like she had no one to tell her. One of the biggest things we're finding out from a musculoskeletal perspective,
Okay.
which nobody's talking about, is this hip pain that I've been having, menopause. I've had frozen shoulders. I've healed myself from them. My clients who are women in their 50s have frozen shoulders, and now we're seeing the research behind frozen
Yeah,
shoulders being
yeah.
a big sign of menopause.
So
Wow.
what's frozen shoulders?
Frozen shoulder is a change in the soft tissues. So not so much your joints. It's not like arthritis, but it's like your ligament, your tendons.
So you can't lift your arm
You
or
can't lift your arm above your head, your shoulder, and
Okay.
you can't put your bra on.
wow.
Oh.
So if you don't have a significant other, you're just
So you gotta like put your bra on in the front and then turn it around.
oh my gosh. So you had to get creative
You have to
then.
get creative. And I've some women have told me they've gone to camisoles. Like, they're
Wow,
like, I
just
don't
toss
like
it
it,
on.
but
Okay.
while I do this, and
Right.
it's a very painful condition. It takes about a year. It's no joke
To heal.
to heal. And I had both my shoulders. So, imagine not being able to
It's
do
the worst.
stuff, but now I have both my shoulders are working. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
And so So you're not only educating your clients um, just because you read something, you're educating your clients through experience, is what
Always.
we're hearing.
Yes.
And that's beautiful because then you can tell firsthand and empathize and sympathize with what your client's going through.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, how can people contact you? As if they wanted to contact you, and what's your target market? So
Women
if you
in
could,
midlife. So
okay,
midlife generally,
what age range?
I didn't make this up.
Okay,
Age range that falls in midlife is 40 to 60.
okay, we're there.
I
Well, I am.
I will
I'm
talk to,
almost there.
but listen,
Mhm.
this is something that women don't understand is while we can give marketing labels to everything and
Right.
groupings, symptoms for menopause, like perimenopause, start 4 to 10 years before
Oh wow.
they are visible or feelable.
Okay.
Oh no.
How would you?
So you would need to, so this is why it's so urgent is to, before you feel anything, be educated on
Of
what's happening.
course.
How can people start?
Pick up a menopause book.
Okay.
So simple. Pick up any menopause book.
Pick up a
Just go to your
menopause
Barnes
book.
and Noble, go to
Okay.
Amazon and just type in menopause in the bar
Okay.
and buy the first 3 books that show up. Just I don't know.
Educate yourself.
Educate
Okay.
yourself.
Yourself, for
Start
sure.
to bring women together. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm creating a new online community.
Oh, nice.
And it's not because I want to sit there and tell everybody what to do, but I really want to share, what are
Knowledge.
some of the things you should be
Mhm.
looking for. I even train and teach my clients how to speak to their doctors, how to release a doctor that is not helping you, how to look at the big picture, but don't come to your doctor for all the pills. That's
Right.
not, educate yourself. Be in a community that doesn't have any shaming, blaming, guilting,
Right.
meanness, high
Right.
school behavior. You want a community where on your worst day you think you're just like everything's falling apart and you're like so tearful, but you can come into the community and 6 people who may be online will be like, listen, that happened to me too, just let it out.
Oh, as far
And
as
that
like
helps a
to.
lot make you
to-
feel like someone understands what you've gone through.
Yes.
I mean, being part of any community will be able to relate and you feel more accepted. You feel understood, right? And that's why communities like that are so important.
Yes.
And whatever, making a community for whatever, like, oh, we all understand, right? So I love that.
Somebody shared some posts on there.
I
What did
do
they-
have some. So to share, I have Carlos. He said that he is drinking his Gano Excel mushroom black coffee.
Oh, delicious.
We also have Maria. She said midlife meaning menopause issues. And then we have Maria Elena. She said Gano Mocha Cafe. She's drinking.
Oh, what is that? Is that the same
I
thing?
think it's the same brand, but she's doing the mocha version.
Okay. Okay.
And then we have Maria Elena said, my body doesn't shut down as I fall asleep. It twitches because of my nervous system.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, where do they all? I know I have your website here. If they want to reach out to you, will all that information be there?
I'm going to send you a link. So usually what I tell people is get on my mailing list.
Okay.
Because my mailing list is the first to know about everything.
Oh, as far as educate, like what to look for.
So I send out information every week.
Oh,
And
nice.
they
Like a
learn
newsletter.
something new.
Okay.
Yes, it's a weekly email. I like to look at things that people are not looking at.
Okay.
And then I will give you an education piece and I'll tell you, I always invite people to have a conversation.
Oh, nice.
You might, say, hey, I want you to coach me. You might say, I just want a question answered. You can say whatever you want to say, but it's better to ask for that help. And I think a lot of people don't ask for help because they think I'm going to sell them something. But you have to remember, not every person is an ideal client for me.
Oh, that's good.
You see what I mean?
That's
so
good.
I may not even
You may
offer
be the
you
person to,
anything
yeah, you
because
may be the
not
person
the
to say
right
no.
person.
Right.
Because maybe you really need a doctor's care.
Oh, that's
That makes
good.
sense.
You see what I mean? Or you maybe
Mhm.
really need to see the physical therapist before you do anything with me.
Right. So how
agree.
can this? So we're gonna get your information for the mailing list, but how can they get a hold of you? Do you have a Facebook handle, Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
I had to open a new Instagram handle.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of fraud stuff.
Isn't
happening
that
on
crazy?
Facebook. Oh my gosh, my
Yes.
Facebook, I was watching transactions happening in Asia right on my page.
So somebody's getting paid under your name.
Yes. Yes.
That's
And
crazy.
I had to tell Facebook that I'm the real me, and they were like, "Prove it."
You had to show your ID.
Oh my gosh, I had like
pretty
hundreds
much
of
give your
hoops
blood type.
Yeah.
loops to jump
Yeah.
through.
So did you say send a blood sample? Send a
Yeah.
DNA sample. Prove that you
Pretty
are who you
much,
say you
right?
are.
So yeah,
So you're on Instagram. Where can they find you on
it's
Instagram?
called Healing in Midlife.
Ooh, I love that name. Healing
That-
in Midlife.
Yes, it may change in about a month when
Okay.
my new community comes online.
Oh,
It's going to be the
nice.
same page,
Okay.
but Healing in Midlife.
Healing in Midlife.
is going to be that.
And then you'll direct people to your new community.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
nice.
Beautiful.
Nice.
If you want to see my current Instagram account,
Mhm.
which is ultimately going to be closed because of Facebook, it's called Decide to Heal.
Ooh, I
Decide
love
to
that.
heal.
Decide to
Yeah,
heal.
so eventually Decide to Heal is going to have a we're moving.
Okay.
And everybody's going to come to Healing in Midlife.
Okay.
Because I have to shut it down because of Facebook.
Okay.
It's a very old account. That's why. The new
Okay.
accounts, you don't have to do that. The
Oh,
old
nice.
accounts, you have to do that.
Okay,
Nice,
very
nice.
good.
Well, definitely we put that in the chat, and also I put the website, and I'm sure they can reach out to you through social media if they
Oh,
need
for
to
sure.
connect
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you,
yeah,
right? So I want to make sure that if anyone wants to reach out to Marelda, there's her contact
Come on
information
down.
there. I know
Yes.
I know Maria Elena said please share the information. So definitely, I hope that you guys can connect, and then of course you guys check out Back of the Yards Coffee Shop.
It's
Come
so
on
good
down.
and so cute in
Six-
here.
1621 West 47th Street in Chicago. So come out, enjoy the
Yeah,
coffee.
it's amazing.
It's great. And then reach out to Marelda. And Delilah, do you have any updates for us?
Come check out the Rock Exchange at 3551 South Archer Avenue. I want to do like an art therapy like workshop at the store. And so just be on the lookout. I really want to do an event for women.
And
Just to have a good time of connecting and getting together.
What's what's again,
Address
the
is 3551 South Archer Avenue.
Nice.
Yep, Chicago, Illinois 60609.
Yeah, the information's there. Check her out, her
Yes.
store. Definitely, Maria Elena, I put it on the screen. So if you go to MareldaRodrigues.com, it should be there.
Love
She's
that.
asking where the information's at. And then, of course, I got to make sure I plug myself in because I always forget to plug myself. I want to make sure I share.
Oh, Thursday you have your event.
I have my networking event
On
on
Thursday in
So
honor of mental health awareness.
mental
You-
health awareness.
You have a
Month.
great panel
Yeah, I
lined
do. I
up.
got 5 people coming out that are all mental health advocates,
Yes.
right? Tamiko, who's a licensed massage therapist as well, but she's also a yogi instructor, right? We have Dr. Maribel Lopez, who is a professor out at Loyola University. Tanje, she is a certified personal trainer. It's all about eating
Yes.
healthy.
Awesome.
Then I love the fact that Nick Ramos is coming. We have a man who actually focuses really heavily on mental health and has men circles. So he provides
Yes,
men
they're
therapy.
happening on Wednesday
Yes.
this week, Wednesday
Yeah.
at 6:30.
Yeah, at his location, but he's also big on providing that space. And then Liza Oliva, who's also Perez, she's always been a big mental health advocate and was part of, Simply
Oh
Destiny and
yeah.
always
Oh
helping
yeah.
the youth with
Absolutely.
all that stuff. So
She's wonderful.
wonderful, and we're super. And then of course me. So come out. We're gonna be doing that at
Mhm.
Illinois Media School, y'all. So super excited. You check
Yeah.
out Illinois Media School as well at
Yes.
that networking event. It's this Thursday at 6:30.
At 6:30, y'all.
So, thank you, Marelda.
Thank you so much. It was so
Thank you
nice
so
to meet
much.
you.
Yes, for
This
coming
was so
out.
nice. So much like a wealth of knowledge.
Literally.
Just a wealth of knowledge.
Walking encyclopedia. For
Literally.
Sure.
Literally.
And
So
for you young people,
women-
Google what an encyclopedia
And
is.
she said it's 10 years before. So even if you're in your 30s,
Yep.
start to do your research on menopause.
Yes.
And make sure you hit up Marelda
Yes.
and
yes.
inbox her to make sure you're a right client for her and vice versa.
Yeah. So
Yes.
someone asked me, "Has Perry visited you yet?" Perry. I was like, "Who's Perry?" Perimenopause. I was like, "Oh no, I don't want that.
Oh, my
Keep that
goodness.
brother away from me." All right.
Oh,
Thank you so much,
all
guys.
so much.
You guys have an
Thank you.
amazing rest of your day.
Yes,
for
thank
being
you,
here. Thank
Marelda.
you, everyone, for watching.
Have a great
Catch
day
us
today.
next